the children from falling into the bad behaviors of abusing these drugs. So not only community programs, we also do media programs. Is the friendly face of just caring them, and you have to create that rapport before you even actually.
What are some of the commonly abused drugs that you find that they use?
The commonly abused drugs are cannabis and alcohol. So those are the two common reasons that we get from our clients.
Someone sent in their message and says um, some are just forced to start uh, abusing drugs because they want money. They find someone who's buying, another person is buying, and then they tell them, if you bring in so much, we'll give you this much. So as he or she is selling amongst the peers, they start telling him how good it is, how it feels, and everything out of inquisitiveness. Is it the case that you come across? That's a question from a listener.
There are a few cases that are like that, whereby they'll even say, no, my brother maybe forced me, or even someone at school forced me. We do, but I still feel like it goes back to family bonds because no one can force you to do anything. So if a child strong, uh, doesn't have a strong moral or value development, I mean, if their values or morals and beliefs are not so developed from their family, if their family where they're coming from hasn't really taught them the importance of having these values of saying no and that nobody can force you to do anything, they fall prey uh, into the practice.
So, what are some of the challenges that you have faced as a person working under such a department that you can allude to?
Hmm. Okay, I think the main challenge that I face is the mindset change. So some people are not really open to change, even when they have seen to say, okay, these drugs are really bad. I think that's one of my major challenges, and it hurts my feelings. Like, I just want to grab the person and tell them, no, this is bad. But a person is, it's very difficult to change someone's mindset if they put their minds to it. So even as we are counseling, we don't force them to really take up the information, or even as we are teaching them, there's just a certain way that we get to talk to them. You have to bring them close in, but otherwise, the main challenge that I have is just the mind changing people's mindset. But for just someone to turn around and completely change, it's hard. So I think that's the main challenge I have so far.
Well, why can, since the Drug Enforcement Commission controls the abuse of drugs and drug trafficking, why can't you just ban the use of the BH5?
Okay, so as Drug Enforcement Commission, on the law or the act that we have been given, the act that we are working on now, which is the Act number 33 of 2021, that one doesn't, okay, there's a list of drugs, okay? So there's a list of drugs that we have that we get to arrest people for. So for BH5, you'll be arrested and stuff like that, but the court, we leave it in the hands of the court, if that makes sense.
Does
Yeah.
that mean that the commission cannot selling of this BH5 in drugstores and other places where it is found and restrict it only to hospitals that need it for medical purposes?
It still comes back to the community. It still comes back to the community because there are people who have bad intentions. BH5 is a drug that is used on mental patients or people that have Parkinson disease. It's an ATAN. So it's used on mental patients and Parkinson disease. Which other one is that? Okay, there's one that's the common one, the the mood swings, people that have emotional imbalances in the community that have bad intentions of just making money to be done because um, these chemists, they know they're not supposed to sell BH5 to young children. So we still work hand in hand with ZAMRA, and it's not that we are completely not doing anything about it. Be careful, peers. If there are peers out there listening, you'll be arrested. Yeah, so
Be rest assured that they are listening because I'm receiving a number of text messages here and I'm just choosing which one to read out loud for you. And so someone is saying, actually, you have a bunch of people listening from Tangab Secondary School. It's interesting. I'm surprised. So they are saying, they're asking, what about the banning of Benlin? I don't know if
uh,
it's syrup.
yes, there is codeine. Benlin. Benlin with codeine is it's not acceptable. That one, it's a crime. You'll be arrested. It's banned. You're not supposed to use that drug. You're not supposed to be in possession of it or even sell it.
Interesting, interesting, interesting. And sometimes, people take these things as light as they could be, but they know that it has the effects on their bodies. And some trend to develop the issues like anemia and other brain damages. Do you make sure that you state about all these long-term effects that the drug addiction and the drugs they are abusing may bring to their bodies?
Oh, yes, we actually do because that's what we are actually even advocating for. We are heavy on the effects so that even as someone takes in whatever they are taking in, they know to say, in the next 5, 6 years from now, my life is going to be different. There are so many body changes, there are so many effects that cannabis has. It's not just about the mental, where the brain stops functioning well, you stop thinking. Cannabis has a lot of chemicals. Okay, so cannabis has a lot of chemicals, and the most prominent one is THC, which is the deadly one, tetrahydrocannabinol. So those chemicals multiply. In its raw form, cannabis has just 400, and then when you light that, it goes to their skin. That's why these people that smoke, they appear to be black in color, not dark but black. Their lips are black, so those are effects. There are issues of skin cancer. There are issues of TB, and then TB is the most common one, especially the TB that these cannabinoids bring in. It has different symptoms. You won't even be coughing, but once you just reach that point, you just maybe faint or pass out, and then they'll tell you to say, okay, you had TB. It's different. There won't be any coughing, but the lungs will be affected. I hope you get the point.
I do. I do get the point. So,
Yeah.
someone is asking that what's the jail sentence for someone found smoking dagga in a public space in your country? This one is calling, sending in their text message from South Africa.
Okay. So the sentence is dependent on how many grams the person has. How I wish I called in someone from the arresting department so that they elaborate more on that. But for us as Drug Enforcement Commission, our job is to make sure we get those people. We have scales at our offices where we measure the grams, and then we open up a docket. So the sentencing is largely dependent on the court part, and the NPA. So those people are the ones who determine, because there are so many factors that determine how long the person will be sentenced. They consider the weight, they consider maybe even the age, yeah, such type of things.
Okay, so what if now you from the department, also someone, okay, someone informs you that there is this person wants to traffic in drugs, maybe from Zambia to another country, or another person trying to traffic in drugs from another country to Zambia. What are some of the preventive measures that you have taken as the commission in order to prevent the trafficking of drugs within and outside of the country?
So that for that one, we do carry out investigations, and we also get information from the informers. And then once the informers bring the information, even the officers that are investigating, they will definitely get to act up on the information. I'm sure if you take a look at our Facebook page, we have a Facebook page, Drug Enforcement Commission, as plain as that. We get to post. You'll see that there are even arrests at the airport. So our officers are stationed everywhere, checkpoints, borders, airports, and even just in the community. You might not even know this person is working for Drug Enforcement Commission, but those informers are there to help bring
Specifically Mufrira to be saying, ma'am, at my school I have a lot of people that are abusing drugs. I would like you to visit our school. And she's sending a message. Uh,
hello. Information is everywhere on social media on how the commission is doing the arrests and how it's doing the educative programs.
a short commercial break and we'll be right back.
You are listening to WCAN Radio Africa.
Okay, so the anti-money laundering unit ensures that
Something that usually affects the men.
okay, had a very challenging challenge that I'm not able to overcome, or that I'm not able to get guidance from command or my superiors. I haven't had that serious, say it like that. But the only challenge that I get to have, it's not even a challenge per se. It's where people get to question me, like, how do you know these effects if you have never used before? So usually it's the male folk, the male peers that get to ask me that because they've actually used it. But you know what? They will develop you, they will give you the material, you just have to read about it. They will train you, we do go for training. So we all have, we have these things that we even just see what is happening to someone out there. So that's why I said it's not related. So that came to my mind. I was like, oh, okay. Most times that's the question I get to receive. Have you actually smoked the drug? But I don't have to smoke it for me to know what it does to a human person. Or I'm a Christian, and what the Bible says is that God was telling us to say, my people will perish uh, because of lack of knowledge. So the information is there, especially nowadays. You can Google anything. You can just check anything on Facebook if you are really interested to learn about how the drug really affects a human being. You know, there are so many and we've seen people going mad, and we've seen people dying, you know, going to these men, okay, this drug is bad. Why is it?
I I do. So, as we come to the conclusion of the program, what is your word of advice to the youth that might be listening and may want to know your word of advice?
Okay, so the main thing that I love to preach about is love. You're going to, be feeling the pain. It's you that's going to be. I don't think if someone comes and tells you, okay, try to take this, but to say, okay, drugs are bad. I don't think you can actually accept, okay, yeah, let me try stealing anyone's money. Then do something.
I always get surprised at how time flies whenever you're having a very interesting conversation. And ma'am, I hope that when we do call upon you, you will respond again because we.
Anytime. I will always be there. Fight this. Bye.
All right, thank you so much for coming through to the program. And I can assure you at your doorsteps whenever there are functions that are happening so that we get to show the general public what is the Drug Enforcement Commission doing in the because people may be listening and they want to know and you wouldn't even know that she is a Drug Enforcement Commission officer. Road right 7330223 plus 26097330323. And this is where we come to the end of the program dubbed The Voices of African Youths Unleashed. And immediately after this program, we join Ambassador Dr. Clarence Green in the Situation Room with other guests as well, one from South Africa, the other from Nigeria, and of course from Sierra Leone.